Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be going over Pluto in the third house. So this video is for you if you have this particular placement. If you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. If you have Scorpio occupying your third house or maybe even Mercury and Scorpio, some of these traits might resonate with you as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Pluto in our natal charts deals with the area where we transform through. It could also be the area where we experience a lot of challenges, perhaps a lot of traumas, maybe some hard experiences take place in the house that it's in, because this is going to be the area of life that Pluto is affecting for you. You also want to see if it's retrograde. I do have a video on retrogrades. It's going to be under my miscellaneous playlist. I might actually add it in the description box below as well. Now with retrograde planets, basically what it signifies is the energy is more so internalized versus it being externalized. So what does this mean? You experience it more so on an internal level. Maybe you keep it all inside you. And if you do have this particular placement retrograde, you might want to spend some time externalizing the energy in whatever way, shape, or form you can. Maybe writing is going to help you guys a lot. If you can't verbally say it for whatever reason, at least it's out of your system versus keeping it inside. Also, another thing for Pluto retrograde as well is that you guys might resist change and transformation in this particular area as well. So for you guys, it's going to be in the third house. The third house occupies anything to do with communication, the written or the spoken word, and it's going to be anything to do with the mind. So for you guys, Pluto is going to be transforming this area for you, and you yourselves are also transforming through this area as well. So what does this mean? Well, for you guys, it might take a while to actually figure out what your communication style is. You guys may have struggled with communication as a child. Maybe there was delayed communication, or maybe you guys felt like you weren't heard, or whatever it is. I do find that Pluto in the third house people do tend to be a little bit more introverted. Now, obviously it does depend on the rest of your natal chart to see how this energy is going to play out. But the overall idea is this: you might be a little bit more introverted, always researching things, always looking for the depths in life. Now, keep in mind, Pluto in the third house can go either in the light version of that scorpionic energy, or it can go into the dark version of it as well. So for you guys, if you guys are maybe in the shadow aspect of this, or maybe in your lower chakras and the lower chakra wounds, you guys might experience paranoias, for example, because it's like Pluto in the third house is always trying to play chess, not checkers, and they're also always 10 steps ahead. So when it's in the shadow, you guys are going to be 10 steps ahead, maybe in a very paranoid way, for example, where it's like you're trying to mentally prepare yourself for every single potential outcome. It could even be to the point where it's wasting a lot of your mental energy. So definitely keep this in mind, because it's like this energy, when it does go through this transformation and transmutes all of these shadow traits, shadow energies that maybe were put on you guys, like whatever it is, after you guys transmute it, you guys can go into the divine version, where it's like you guys are 10 steps ahead in a positive way, where it's like you're kind of really listening to your intuition. So this placement might really struggle with that whole push-pull between logic and intuition, for example, because it is that third house. It's that Mercury energy. Mercury moves fast. So you guys are always thinking really, really quickly, thinking of this outcome. Okay, how can I get out of this situation? This energy could also, when it's in the shadow, go into lying, because you guys are going to be quick to think on your feet. So you guys might think of a lie really fast. Or alternatively, you guys could struggle to speak altogether. Maybe there could be some sort of barrier between how you guys speak with other people. Or it could even go into the extreme version, where maybe you guys come off a little bit too intense and a little bit too strong, maybe very, very blunt. So there's always something going on with communication with this particular placement. This is really, really important to keep in mind. So you guys are trying to master communication. What is your communication style? How do you communicate things? When do you say certain things? Should you say them at all? Because it is that scorpionic energy. This energy could be very, very secretive as well. Now, Scorpio, I know, doesn't like the whole label of secretive. They do like to think of themselves as private, but it's like they can go into the shadow of Scorpio, which is being secretive and withholding information. And then sometimes withholding information can also be equivalent to lying, depending on the particular situation that it's in. So I find with the Plutonian energy, wherever people have it in their natal chart, you're going through that pendulum swing, the extremeness of the energy, until you get to the middle point where you eventually neutralize. So that's the whole thing to understand. So you guys might go through this like extreme, like not saying anything, then saying too much, and then kind of finding that happy balance where it's like you guys are still really, really at the end of the day, you're still going to be scorpionic. So you guys are still going to be very selective about what you say and when you say it. Now, what I will say also with this energy is that sometimes this energy, because they do struggle with communication, they could struggle to communicate, let's say, their needs What do they need maybe in a relationship or out of their partners or their friends or whatever it is? That's very much Pluto in the third house as well. And also this energy, because it is operating behind the scenes, there's the undercurrents of energy more so with the Pluto energy in there. You guys might kind of expect people to already know your needs. Maybe when you guys are getting annoyed, you guys might expect people to already know that you're annoyed, or maybe there's a certain boundary that you guys want another person to know. Maybe you guys don't verbalize it. Maybe you guys expect the person to already know. So you guys might struggle in this area overall, because the third house can also deal with friendships sometimes. You guys might struggle when it comes to your friendships for this reason. When it comes to communication, maybe not fully communicating or expecting the other person to know. Maybe the other person has no idea. Maybe they're oblivious. But overall, this energy is going to be very investigative, very much about researching. When you guys become obsessed about a topic, you guys are really going to dive in deep. You guys are definitely not going to want small talk. You guys are definitely going to want those deep talks. You guys are not going to want to talk about surface level types of things. And this might have been something from a young age as well, where you guys were not interested in surface level types of things. This energy I can also see kind of being off in a corner where it's like they just feel like they don't fit in maybe with the other kids when you guys were younger, or maybe like the kids kind of shunned you guys in a way because it's like you guys know a lot of information. So maybe the things you guys wanted to talk about with everybody, the other children or kids weren't prepared to talk about these types of things. A lot of the time, just how human nature is like when something is unknown, people usually go into fear and then they kind of shun that particular person. So I can see this energy playing out that way as well. And that's kind of like why through time, these people might become a little bit more introverted. They might not speak as much, which kind of feeds into the whole issue that's already taking place. But overall, wherever we have Pluto in our natal chart, yes, you might struggle in that area. You might have traumatic experiences in that area. Maybe you guys might have fears in this particular area as well, paranoias, hidden things. But overall, we transform through this area as well. So you guys are transforming through this area, and then eventually you guys come into that Phoenix rising state. That's the whole thing to understand with Plutonian Scorpionic energy. It goes through all of the transformations, that pendulum swinging like I was mentioning to you guys. And then eventually you guys will get to that Phoenix rising state where you guys have mastered this particular area. I do find when I look at natal charts, the area where people do tend to struggle in the most is a lot of the time very much tied into their purpose. So for you guys, maybe you guys have a dream to maybe write or speak, and it's like there's a desire there, but you guys might struggle in that exact area as well. Now, with that being said, maybe you guys struggled, let's say, with learning when you guys were younger. Maybe you were new to a country where you guys maybe didn't speak the language, and you were learning the language at the same time as going to school. And then maybe this created some form of barrier for you guys, let's say, in your learning as well, because maybe it was more difficult for you guys to learn in a language that wasn't your mother tongue. So it could be things like this, okay? You guys could struggle in this area in whatever way, shape, or form. That's just one of the examples. Overall, maybe you guys just struggle with learning in general, because it's like, it's that Scorpionic mind where it's like, well, the answer could be this, but I could also see it be this. So it's always kind of trying to calculate everything. And also another thing for like Pluto in the third house is like this energy is always doing a cost benefit analysis in their mind. So they're always planning things out. It's like, if I do this, maybe this is going to be the outcome. Or if I say this to this person, they could react like this, or they could react like that. So should I say it to that person? Like, it's a lot of mental energy. You guys are going to be highly, highly intelligent, because I do find this energy to be very intelligent because of the fact that you guys learn so many things. You're curious about a lot of things. You're going to do the research about all the things. And in that way, you guys are going to know so many things. But once again, that connection with the communication, maybe expressing this, and expression overall could be something that you guys do struggle with. And it's like, again, it's that chicken and the egg, because it's like maybe you guys get rejected. Let's say maybe when you were younger, or at some point in your life, you guys get rejected when it came to your communication, and then you guys go more introverted and more introverted. And I can also see this energy manifesting into like, you know, people who maybe have more so conversations with people in their mind versus in the physical reality, maybe more so in like the astral plane. You're thinking about these things, you know, how can this particular situation play out? Again, if I say it like this, the person is going to react like this. So really trying to ground back into the physical plane and into the physical reality, because I can also see this energy manifesting into like, let's say you guys have a crush on someone. Well, you guys could go into that energy where it's like you guys think about it more in terms of like how the conversations could go, what kind of things you guys could say to the person. And then when the person is in front of you, you guys might not let the conversation naturally flow, because you guys kind of went too much into the crown, like thinking about it rather than acting on it in the physical plane. And then maybe you guys could be awkward also when it comes to the conversation in person. This is still in like that crush example. Let's say you guys have a crush. Another thing also for this energy as well is like the third house can also deal with social media. These people could be very good at investigating social media, looking people up, finding people, like with literally just one piece of information about that person. You guys can be really, really good at this as well. And let's say once again, in the crush example, well, maybe you guys are gonna spend more time like really, really researching the crush and thinking about what to say. And then the person presents themselves in front of you and then you guys kind of like freeze. You guys don't even know what to say. So you guys could go into this direction as well, where it's a lot of mental energy. I'm sure a lot of people, when they have a crush, they might act like this, but for you guys, it's a lot of this because it's all mental, it's all crown chakra in terms of the thoughts. So you guys could really go into your mind about anything, really. I was just kind of using the crush example as a random example of how the energy could play out, but this could really be about absolutely anything because again, it's that overactive crown in a way where it's like you guys are really researching everything to the end until you kind of get to the bottom of something. It's really like that investigative type of energy. Now, what I also will say for this energy as well is yes, it can be in that introverted shell energy, but also it can kind of be in an explosive energy as well, because scorpionic energy, like they can really cut with their words. But what I will say about scorpionic energy, it's interesting because it's like the scorpionic energy, yes, it's ruled by Pluto, but also used to be ruled by Mars, right? So there's that element to Scorpio where it's like they can really cut with their words. They can really say things sometimes that maybe they do on purpose to trigger people, get a reaction out of people. Sometimes when they're in their really lower versions, they can just be outwardly rude or just like blunt, or like sometimes they could even slip out in a way if it's more unconscious, where it's like you're just saying these like things, maybe it's another person's shadows, you guys are just kind of like saying it, it like rolls off your tongue, especially when it's underdeveloped and you're unaware that you have this energy. So that's something that can take place. And then also, like, let's say it's an argument or something of that sort. Again, like the words, like because you have Pluto in the third house, you guys can really cut with your words. And I find with scorpionic energy anywhere, when it's like maybe in the Mercuryinscorpio or Scorpio third house, or in your guys' situation with Pluto in the third house, something that can take place for this energy as well is like when you guys get into an argument with someone, what can take place is like the rage can really, really take over, and maybe you guys don't actually resolve the argument itself. Maybe the Pluto in the third house person can bring out the other person's shadows or like the energy behind what the other person is doing as well, especially in the heat of the moment. So the thing is with like Plutonian scorpionic energy, as it evolves, it becomes more controlled over its emotions. But when it is maybe younger or more underdeveloped or unhealed, whatever term you guys want to use, or like just unaware that you guys have the energy, it can really become explosive in this way. And because the energy can really see through people's intentions, it's like the person can kind of say to the other person and be like, no, you're saying it because of this. And then that can cause an even bigger argument, because it's like most people have not met themselves as deeply as like scorpionic and Plutonian people have. So it's like the other person might think that it is the surface level problem, but the Pluto in the third house person will be like, no, it's this, because they see the energy behind maybe their words or their actions or whatever the argument is about. So then the argument might even escalate even more, because then it's like you're not even arguing about what the original issue was. It's a lot of like, no, you're saying this, you're saying that. So it could be this as well. Now, another thing I also want to talk about in this video also is the third house being siblings. So for you guys, you know, when it comes to your siblings, you guys could transform through your siblings, or your siblings can be very secretive or private. There could be maybe issues with your siblings. I'm not trying to speak anything into existence for people, so obviously you guys can say I don't claim that energy, and it does depend on the rest of your natal chart. But you guys might not necessarily get along with your siblings, or there might be a lot of power and control issues when it comes to your siblings. Once again, like maybe you guys exposing things about your siblings or calling them out for hiding things. So there could be a lot of headbutting when it comes to siblings as well. But overall, you guys do transform through your siblings if you guys do have siblings. So overall, maybe the sibling helps you transform in a positive way. Absolutely, it can go into this direction as well. And one more thing that I also wanted to mention in this video is how the third house basically also deals with short distance travel, short trips, local trips. So for you guys, maybe going on these short trips is going to be very transformational. Maybe you guys have a very transformational experience through it. Maybe this is how you guys are able to clear your mind and clear that overactive crown chakra. So keep this in mind. Pluto is basically transforming the crown chakra for you guys in the sense of overthinking, going too much into the crown, thinking about everything, about every possible outcome, and then also very much purging anything to do with paranoias, fears when it comes to overthinking in that way as well, trying to mentally prepare yourself for either some form of outcome, or probably like maybe something traumatic happened when you guys were younger. So you guys are trying to maybe avoid that outcome by trying to, again, mentally prepare yourself. But again, if you guys spend so much time thinking about every possible outcome and how every situation can play out, that's going to be a lot of mental energy that's going to be drained. So just something that you guys might eventually have to balance within. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here on Pluto in the third house. I do hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.